This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
We start tonight with breaking news. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner is resigning from office. Her last day on the job will be June 1st. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
I'm Kelly Jackson. This resignation comes after the Missouri Attorney General sued to have her removed. He claims she willfully neglected her duties as prosecutor.
There have also been many resignations since then within her own office. Our Christine Byers joins us live tonight from downtown with what she's learned so far. Christine.
Mike, just moments ago, Kim Gardner herself left the courthouse. She didn't address any reporters' questions. A couple members of her staff did come out and say she's expected to make public remarks sometime tomorrow around 11. They said they weren't sure what she would be saying. And just at about right before 4 o'clock today, she convened a meeting with her entire staff to tell them she would be resigning. In that meeting, I've learned Gardner started it with a moment of silence for a prosecutor who was killed in a car crash last night. Then she told her staff that she didn't want to put them through additional scrutiny for the city to lose its right to elect a prosecutor. The decision comes after months of public pressure, most notably from Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, who started a legal process to remove her. Gardner has seen her staff been depleted, leaving her with roughly 20 people, 20 attorneys in her office with a law license. And only one of those is assigned to high-level violent felonies, and that has several hundred cases. Now, Gardner is leaving that office behind effective June 1st, saying in her statement that she faces relentless attacks and pressure. And the effort to remove her was a coordinated strategy to undermine her. I'm now joined by 5 on Your Side legal analyst Scott Rosenblum. Scott, what is next for this office when you lose the head of your office? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, the line attorneys have to step up. In the meantime, the governor, I hope, moves swiftly to appoint a very competent successor and start hiring lawyers, experienced lawyers, to run this office. As I said before, these offices can run themselves if you have experienced lawyers, if there's mentorship in place. There hasn't been. It's bad for everything. It's bad for due process. It's bad for the justice system, for the courts, for the defendants, as well as the victims. The system was at a standstill. It can't go on.
And do you think that this is going to be a long process? I mean, just her resignation is obviously significant, but I mean, as far as taking care of all this, they're down to 19 attorneys.
More importantly, they're down to one that's handling very significant charges, and that's not fair to anybody. You know, those cases that are going to be called out next week, tomorrow, in 2 weeks, something has to be done in sort of an emergency fashion. So I'm expecting the governor to move quickly. I know that there's some very qualified candidates out there. This individual has to move quickly to get people in place to run this office. It hasn't been run at all.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Scott. Mike.
Christine, she was very defensive even in her resignation letter. We know that the Missouri House and Senate were seriously discussing enacting legislation that would appoint a special prosecutor to take on violent crime cases in St. Louis. Do we know how much that figured in her decision to resign?
Mike, she said that was the main reason she resigned. In that staff meeting she had just before 4 p.m., I talked to some people that were in that meeting, and they said that she told them she didn't want to put them through anything more, and she also didn't want to see the city lose its right to elect a prosecutor.
All right, Christine, thanks.
One question I should...
Yeah, go ahead.
One thought I should add to that as well, Mike. Her staff members would not confirm whether the negotiation includes leaving the state takeover of the city police department off the table. Nobody has confirmed whether that's part of this deal or not.
All right, Christine, we will check back. I know it's 6 o'clock. Kim Gardner was elected by the voters and took office in January 2017 after former circuit attorney Jennifer Joyce decided not to run for re-election. She was re-elected to a second term by a landslide in 2020.
And in 2018, she got a grand jury to indict then Governor Eric Greitens on felony invasion of privacy charges. Greitens ended up resigning and the charges were dropped. Now, her office admitted to withholding evidence from Greitens' defense attorneys. Last year, the Missouri Supreme Court reprimanded Gardner and ordered her to pay a $750 fine.
And she also admitted to and paid a fine for campaign finance violations in 2019. Gardner has also come under criticism for refusing to accept the testimony or evidence in court cases involving certain police officers.
Most recently, she has been accused of failing to discharge the duties of her office. The accusations hitting a fever pitch when a man violating house arrest caused a car crash that led to a Tennessee teenager to lose her legs. Lawyers in her office have been accused of failing to make court appearances, and many have resigned.
Gardner's resignation comes days after she publicly said she would not resign.
And what's happening today, I have a law license, I have a nursing license, I'm a funeral director. What they're doing is they want to make sure they ruin me, so this is the night ride. So each and every one of y'all see, never run for office, never be in this position and do the right thing, because they'll take you out like Kim Gardner. But guess what? You can't take me out.
And here's a statement that Gardner released just about an hour ago, saying in part, since day one of my tenure as circuit attorney, I have experienced attacks on my reforms, on my judgment, on my integrity, on my prosecutorial discretion, on my responsibility to direct the limited resources of this office and more. And she goes on to say she will remain an advocate for St. Louis, saying the most powerful weapon I have to fight back against these outsiders stealing your voices and your rights is to step back. She says, I took this job to serve the people of the city of St. Louis, and that is still my North Star.
Just weeks ago, a judge moved to hold Gardner in indirect criminal contempt after someone in her office did not show up to court for a case, and he had strong words for the circuit attorney.
The circuit attorney's office appears to be a rudderless ship of chaos.
Political editor Mark Maxwell joins us now, and Mark has been on the phone since moments after the announcement, getting reaction from political leaders.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of that reaction. We just heard from St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones, Missouri Governor Mike Parson, and now Attorney General Andrew Bailey. We're going to start with that fiery statement from Bailey, who's running for election himself. He says this, quote, there is absolutely no reason for the circuit attorney to remain in office until June 1st. We remain undeterred with our legal quest to forcibly remove her from office. Every day she remains puts the city of St. Louis in more danger. Unclear if he actually has that legal leverage. Governor Parsons says this, he'll be the one responsible for appointing a replacement. Parsons saying, quote, we fully understand the gravity of this situation and approach our duty to appoint a replacement with the utmost seriousness. We will immediately start the replacement process. We are committed to finding a candidate who represents the community, values, public safety, and can help restore faith in the city's criminal justice system. And this just in from St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones. She said, quote, in February, I said Circuit Attorney Gardner should take accountability for her office and do some soul searching to determine whether or not she wants to continue in her role. She has clearly taken that advice to heart by offering her resignation. Mayor Jones going on to say, we are hopeful that the governor will work with local leaders to appoint a successor who reflects the values of communities across St. Louis. The mayor also noting Gardner's historic status as the first black woman to hold that office and acknowledging that she faced a tough uphill climb because of that. But the mayor drew an important dividing line between Gardner's rhetoric leading up to this. She said that no one wanted to see the office fail. That was Mayor Jones there. The governor has said he'll consult city leaders like the mayor in picking the replacement.
Do we have any idea of some names that might come up to fill this spot?
I mean, there are names floating around. It's really early to say. Judge Marvin Tier is highly respected in the legal community. He's close to that office, has worked there. He's somebody who I know the people in the legal community would appreciate taking over. We don't know if he has interest or not. There are other political names, politicians even now, angling for that appointment, trying to make their inroads. The governor's office has a big welcome mat out right now.
And this will be a Herculean task to appoint that person. How close do you think the mayor and Megan Green will work with the governor on this?
Well, we know that they have strong interest in having input. What we don't know is the degree to which the governor will rely solely on or just some of. Keep in mind, if you get elected to a position, you have time to build that transition up. Whoever this person comes in, they're going to have to be thrust into a chaotic job and really build it up. So a lot of interest in rebuilding this office. Who gets to do it? We'll find out soon.
She was defiant this past weekend. Was there a straw that broke the camel's back?
We really think it was Judge Turbitsky who said, yes, this case is going to trial. We're not going to dismiss this case over the push to expel you from office. When that we know from the Greitens case, she didn't want to be deposed. She didn't want to have to take the witness stand. This is something that she's avoiding now by stepping aside. But frankly, we have to also say she's putting the future of the office, the rebuilding of the office, ahead of her own political ambitions. She's breaking up with her own. She just said a few weeks ago she wanted to run for re-election. She's walking away from that now.
And that June 1st, when she's leaving office, And Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General, kind of touched upon this, saying, you know, we need someone in there now, and as opposed to her leaving now or June 1st.
Well, that raises the question, do they have somebody in mind already?
Right.
Right. I don't know that the answer is yes. We haven't seen that. I don't know what you achieve by hurrying the transition. I think getting the right person is probably what the mayor and the Board of Aldermen president want more than just the optics of doing it now. The Republicans got their win. They can celebrate it. I think Andrew Bailey is inserting or injecting a little bit of campaign rhetoric here as he's celebrating the victory.
And as you pointed out off air, when someone is elected to that office, they have a few months to ramp up.
Yeah, and that transition time is important in building the staff. They often say in politics, you don't just elect a person, you elect their team. Whoever comes into this office with the next circuit attorney is going to have a big job ahead of them, and that's going to be very important as they staff this office.
A lot of positions to fill.
Yeah, they're hiring.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, thanks. We are going to continue to follow this story on air on the 5 on Your Side app and online at KSTK.com, and we'll be right back.
As we continue to follow the resignation of St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, the Circuit Attorney's Office will also feel the impact of the loss of one of their assistant circuit attorneys. Just 24 hours ago, 32-year-old James Heitman died in a crash on Interstate 270.
Heitman prosecuted felony cases such as burglaries and theft, and today 2 judges spoke to Justina Coronel about his character and the loss that this will be for the community. She joins us in studio with their reaction. Justina.
Yeah, Mike and Kelly. So I'm told the loss of James Heitman is significant. Retired Judge Michael Mullen and Judge Timothy Boyer say the SLU law graduate was a gentle giant who was hardworking, diligent, and professional as a prosecutor. Now, Boyer just saw Heitman on Monday, and he was expecting to see him back today in the courtroom. But everything changed yesterday evening around 5:15. On I-270 near Interstate 55, 4 cars were in a crash. According to Missouri State Highway Patrol, Heitman was switching lanes when he didn't see traffic slow down in front of him, causing him to crash into the back of another car. Now, 3 of the vehicles caught fire after impact. Now, Boyer and Mullen are in shock and said they got to know Heitman pretty well because he was assigned to their courtrooms. Beyond colleagues, they considered him as a friend.
He was a delight to have. He was very professional. Everybody liked him. Everybody knew him, and he's going to be really missed. I'm sure not just in my courtroom, but in the circuit attorney's office and in the courthouse in general.
But the community loses it too, because he was a prosecutor in that office who really was committed to doing the right thing, doing a good job, and I think the fact that he's not there anymore is going to leave a big hole for the community.
And they tell me Heitman had a twin brother, and he also leaves behind his wife. I'm told the 2 tied the knot last year.
Tragic story. All right, Justina, thanks. We continue to follow news of Kim Gardner's resignation tonight. We'll have another live report coming up.
We continue our breaking news on Kim Gardner's resignation as St. Louis Circuit Attorney tonight.
Our Christine Byers joins us once again live from downtown with 5 on Your Side's political analyst, Anita Mannion. Christine.
Thanks, Mike. So we're here with Anita Mannion, and I wanted to ask, what do you make of this 2-week deadline?
It seems actually like a pretty good strategy to me. If you think about it, most of us give 2 weeks notice when we're leaving our job, and there's a reason for that. If Kim Gardner just abandoned her office today, there's no one to run it. So this gives some time for the governor and mayor in consultation to appoint a new person and to help with that transition.
And what do you make of the timing with all of this? I mean, one of the things she said was really important to her was to ensure that the city retains its right to elect a prosecutor. What is the timing of all this? What is the significance?
I think that Kim Gardner had been getting a lot of pressure, and one of the levers that they're using is legislation that was meant to really have state takeover over the circuit attorney's office. The legislative session ends next week, so if they were going to use that as a negotiating point, it really had to happen now.
Gotcha. Mike?
Thanks very much, Christine and Anita Mannion tonight.
All right, let's check in with meteorologist Jim Castillo. Take a look at our weather first forecast. And Jim, we do have some rain coming along the way, right?
Well, we were hoping beneficial rain, and now it's just some light scattered showers and probably some areas staying dry. I'll explain a little bit coming up. But the clouds, they're with us. We're staying dry this evening. No worries of any rain. We need the rain. Here's the updated drought monitor. All this yellow on here. Most of the viewing area now abnormally dry. And you get up to Pike County, we're actually in a moderate drought, and then Columbia is in the severe drought. So already getting really dry. The big forecast changes and the weather headlines, limited showers and spotty and light on Friday. Some areas stay dry around the metro. I think most of that rain shower activity stays in our southern counties. It has to overcome this really dry air in place. And we're watching this warm front here. It doesn't really get here until Saturday. So that shower activity tomorrow morning, again, watching Reynolds and Iron County, probably no more than 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch of rainfall, and probably no more than 1/100th of an inch of rainfall around portions of the metro. So that rainfall potential a lot lower. Remember, some of this was showing over 1 inch of rain. Now we're not expecting that because it has to overcome that dry air, and most of the moisture is moving south. As we get into Saturday night, see that thunderstorm activity here in the futurecast. So late Saturday night, early Sunday, that's when we have a chance of some isolated severe cells, and mainly north, but some of the viewing area now in this green area. Again, overnight Saturday into Sunday, something we'll keep our eyes on. So it does get a little more active as we get into next week. 77 for that high today, a little bit above the average of 74, and 45 for that low temperature. Very chilly start today. And the allergy index, boy, that trees are really high once again. Reason why you're sneezing. All right, 7-day forecast showing a Cinco de Mayo mainly dry, but spotty showers possible. 70, Saturday 82. And when that warm front comes through, guys, near 90 on Sunday. So the storm chances ramp up a little bit more as we get into later Sunday, definitely into Monday, and more isolated midweek.
And after those dust storms this week, I guess we could use the rain, right?
Yes, we could, yeah.
All right, Jim, thanks. Well, there were boos at Busch last night, and things did not get any better today. Frank Cusimano with reaction after the Cardinals get swept again. Project 5 and Behavioral Health Response are teaming up to provide free mental health counseling. If you or someone you know needs support, call this number, 314-469-6644. Trained counselors are available until 10:30 tonight.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
The ship is sinking. 6 losses in a row and 13 out of 15. Last night was heartbreaking. Today started off embarrassing. A nice comeback, but you still go to bed tonight 10 games behind the Pittsburgh Pirates. The worst day of Jack Flaherty's career. Gave up 10 runs on 9 hits and pitched 2 1/3 innings, and he also got hit by a ball on the way out. But the Cardinals battled back. Tommy Edman with a 3-run blast that cut the lead to 11-5. And later, Paul Goldschmidt rolled double in 2, and that shaved the lead to 11-7. It wasn't enough. You can't give up 10 runs in the first 3 innings and win the final 11-7.
Like, it is what it is. We're way better than this. We all know it. That's the thing, is we do know we're better than this, so we're going to climb out of it, and we're going to, like, at some point we're going to figure it out. And, you know, I was hoping for it to be today. I was hoping to put together a good start, and you know what? I didn't freaking do it.
Yeah, it's obviously tough. You never want to do that. But you know, this group is good, and, you know, we keep saying that, but we all believe it.
Uh-oh. Trout puts the Angels in front.
The boos rained down last night as the Cardinals blew a 9th inning lead. Here's the manager on that topic after the game.
Do you think they're more frustrated than us?
No, I don't think so.
No, I can tell you right now they're not, because it drives us knowing that if we do well, things go well. And if you don't, people are pissed. Also, if you think other people are more frustrated than within these walls, you're crazy.
The Enjoy Illinois 300 is coming up June 4th at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And today, the defending champion came to town, Joey Logano. And I'm not sure how it could get better than last year. First, you had that sellout crowd. I guess the new Gateway Garage experience could make it better, but the racing, oh my goodness, the racing. On the restart in overtime, Logano moved past Kyle Busch and won the race by a second. I asked him about it this morning.
And when I had a good restart getting down into 1, I was able to get ahead of Kyle and try to pull the slide job, right? Pull up in front of him. He crossed me back over. We crossed each other again down in 3 and 4. So you couldn't ask for a better, restart and race and crossing back and forth for the race fans. So ultimately it ended up being a great race for everybody.
Imagine that. You race for like 3 hours and it comes down to one second.
That was
really
exciting.
Cool. Yep.
All right, thanks, Frank.
All right, our evening forecast.
Yeah, you know, it stays dry, very cloudy, mild, so temperatures even fall only into the 50s tonight, so it stays pretty warm.
And there you have it, 5 on your side at 5.
We are back at 6. Nightly news is next.